and Hustisford over Faith Christian 84-14. Girls hockey sectional action last night. Beaver Dam Fond du Lac Co-op blew out Green Bay East Co-op 7-0. And several local area basketball teams are represented on the WisSports.com weekly top 10 rankings. In boys basketball, Waupun holds steady as the second-ranked team in D3. In Division 5, Randolph jumps up to the top-ranked team. Hustisford fell back a spot to the sixth-ranked team in Division 5, and Rio remains at number 10 after cracking the list for the first time last week. In the final coaches poll for the regular season in girls basketball, Beaver Dam finished as the top-ranked team in Division 2. Marshall sits as the second-ranked team in Division 3, and in Division 5, Fall River is ranked number 5, while Randolph falls one spot to number 8. That is a check of sports. Now here's your Badger Minute.
ESPN Wisconsin presents your Badger Minute.
Brought to you by Columbus Family Dental. Call 920-623-5559 or visit them on the web at columbusfamilydental.com. Last week, the NCAA unveiled the midseason top 30 list of candidates to win the 2019 Naismith Trophy, awarded to the best men's basketball player in the country. And Wisconsin forward Ethan Happ is on the list. At the time of the nomination, Happ was averaging more than 18 points and 10 rebounds a game, along with 5 assists. All in all, the Big Ten has 4 players on the midseason list. Happ joins Ignas Brazdeikis of Michigan, Carson Edwards of Purdue, and Cassius Winston of Michigan State. Another notable name appearing on the Naismith midseason watch list is Marquette's Marcus Howard. The list of 30 will be trimmed to 10 on March 6th. The 4 finalists will be released March 17th, and the winner will be announced on April 7th.
I love going to the dentist.
Hi, this is Dr. Adam Forster. At Columbus Family Dental, we provide a wide range of dental services without having to refer you to other specialties. This flexibility saves you time and keeps your total dental care within one practice. At Columbus Family Dental, our emphasis is on total preventative care for our patients. Total care begins with regular hygiene visit, regular checkups, and continued home oral health routines. Let our family take care of your family at Columbus Family Dental. Call us today to set up your free consultation at 623-5559.
Now this news update on Wisconsin Radio Network. I'm Raymond Newport. Governor Evers says there is no national emergency need for a border wall. Evers says he's exploring an idea of joining a lawsuit against President Trump, currently filed by 16 states. The suit alleges the declaration is unconstitutional. The race for mayor of Madison is set. Robin Colbert has more.
Incumbent Mayor Paul Soglin and former Alder Sacha Rhodes Conway advanced following Tuesday's primary. Soglin finished first, but Rhodes Conway was just a few hundred votes behind. Soglin's been mayor in Madison on and off for over 20 years. Rhodes Conway is a director for a UW-Madison think tank and, if successful, would become the city's first openly gay mayor. In Madison, Robin Colbert, Wisconsin Radio Network.
And the Natural Resources Board is expected to vote next week on the purchase of an easement of more than 14,000 acres of wildland in Iron County. The deal would keep that area undeveloped and preserve it for forestry. This is Wisconsin Radio Network.
I'm Mitch Breinig from Sauk City, Wisconsin. When it came time to update my family's 400-cow dairy farm, I worked with the UW School of Veterinary Medicine's Dairyland Initiative to improve the environment where my cows would thrive and have optimal comfort. Since implementing design and management recommendations from the school's dairy experts, my herd is happier, healthier, and more productive.
University of Wisconsin School of Veterinary Medicine, saving lives and serving Wisconsin. To learn more, visit animalsneedheroes2.com.
To buy your home, you became a house hunting ace, learned about loans, scoured neighborhoods, and asked the right questions. Now you're queen of your castle. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll feel empowered to own your retirement like you own your home. Go to aceyourretirement.org. Because when it comes to clearing financial hurdles, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the
When it comes to physical and occupational therapy, depend on Prairie Ridge Health Clinic, Beaver Dam, and Columbus. Their licensed athletic trainer provides therapy for injured athletes or athletes recovering from acute orthopedic surgery. The occupational therapists are skilled in treating patients of all ages. Whatever the problem, decreased range of motion, chronic pain, coordination, or fine motor dysfunction, the physical and occupational therapists at Prairie Ridge Health Clinic, Beaver Dam, and Columbus are ready to go the extra mile to make you well again.
Now also serving in Marshall.
Come to Holman Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Waupun and Holman Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Ripon for Ram Truck Month. A new 2019 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4x4. Motor Trend's 2019 Truck of the Year. Lease for only $329 a month. A new 2019 Jeep Cherokee Latitude Plus 4x4. Lease for only $329 a month. Both leases are for 36 months, $19.99 due and no security deposit. Plus auto show rebates on some of our best-selling models. For super low prices and a relaxed buying atmosphere, come to Holman Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Ripon and Waupun.
Plus tax, title, and dealer service fee. Subject to approved credit.
Save big money this week during Menards Priced Right sale. Save on Hunter ceiling fans from Menards. Right now, save on the LED 54-inch Auburndale ceiling fan. It comes in an onyx bengal finish with clear glass. The LED 52-inch Forge Smith ceiling fan comes in an aged steel finish and has an industrial pipe design. Your choice, only $149.99 each. Find these and other great deals going on now through February 23rd during Menards Priced Right sale.
Save big money at Menards.
A visit to Cave of the Mounds is fun for the whole family, with lots to do above and below ground. Tour this geologic wonder that was hidden for ages. Lighted walkways lead you to stunning, colorful crystal formations and mirror-like pools. Plus, it's always a comfortable 50 degrees in the cave. Above-ground activities include our gemstone mine, fossil dig, butterfly gardens, and amazing rock and gift shop. Discover buried treasure, discover fun at Cave of the Mounds. Open year-round. Cave of the Mounds is just 25 miles west of Madison.
1239 from AM 1430 WBEV, streaming online at dailydodge.com. It is time now for today's community comment. Here's your host, Craig Warmbold.
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon. Welcome to Community Comment, streaming live at dailydodge.com today in audio and video formats. If you'd like to watch today's program, just go to the video tab at dailydodge.com. Of course, you could also listen to the audio on AM 1430 WBEV simply by clicking on the icon as you get onto the dailydodge.com website. Also want to thank our listeners on terrestrial radio, AM 1430 WBEV, for listening to us today. Our guest is the Sheriff of Dodge County, Dale Schmidt. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Always a pleasure to be here.
And the phone number, if you've got a question, is 920-885-4446. That's 885-4446. Are open. Snowy day out there today, Sheriff.
It is a snowy day, but before we get to that, let me say I really do feel like I'm sitting here with Jimmy Fallon on the Tonight Show with this set. It's incredible. It's pretty cool. I'm hoping to get some good jokes from you, just like we would from Jimmy.
Well, Jack Hanna from the San Francisco Zoo will be on a little bit later, and then our musical guest is Tito Fuentes tonight.
Outstanding.
So make sure you tune right in. But you know, it may be a little more comfortable. I mean, that's the hope, right? You know?
Absolutely. This is great. I mean, you've got awards sitting here and fake microphones. And a great set, so well done.
This was an operational microphone at one time, so
it's obvious that it was probably when John Moser started here.
Right. Well, even earlier, perhaps.
Right.
You know, and the community comment room is a window view.
Right.
There's windows in there, but they don't really have a view.
They don't, and I can see the beautiful weather that we have out there, and people driving by with their headlights on. I just saw one drive by with their headlights on. That's great. So yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of a message on a day like today, a reminder. We hear about it throughout the year, but that's not a point that you can't drive home enough.
No, we see too many of them, and hopefully as you're listening and you're looking down the road, because everybody's listening to WBEV right now, you're going to see all kinds of headlights turn on right now, because the sheriff is saying, turn on your headlights because it's safe. It's not for you to see. It's for other people to see you. And it's so important, and we've seen it all through this winter with the fog and the snow. It's really been a time where we got to have our headlights on so we can avoid crashes, so that if somebody loses control, you can see that too. And so we really ask people to turn their headlights on. It was actually our law of the month regarding lights. And something related to headlights is, you know, you can't just rely on the automatic lights, because a lot of times those daytime running lights are just the headlights. They may not turn on your tail lights, and that's important too. So turn that switch to the on position.
What are you talking about?
You take a look at some of them. Some of those cars out there just have the daytime running lights on, and they don't turn on the tail lights when the daytime running lights come on. So you may think all your lights are on, but only your headlights are activated. So take that time and just flip the switch on in this weather, and then you got all your lights.
First of all, and I hate to claim this ignorance, I didn't realize there was stuff going on in the back of my car at night. that's different than, I thought it was just the headlights.
Well, no, most time at night, the automatic lights will turn them on turn on all of them. I'm sorry, turn on all the lights. But during the daytime, your sensors may only turn on your daytime running lights, the headlights. So when you're out in the fog, only your headlights might be on because the sensor isn't dark enough to illuminate everything. So yeah, make sure that you turn them all on just to be on the safe side, or at least know your car. If your car turns on the lights when you're in the fog and turns on all the lights, great. If it only turns on the headlights, flip that knob over to make sure all the lights come on.
But then I'm going to leave my lights on the next time I get out of the car, and I'm going to have a dead battery.
Well, it's something you got to remember. Take a sticky note and stick it right in your dash so you don't forget.
Tie a string around my finger.
But another thing you should on, turn your brake lights on, have somebody else turn the brake lights on, and check to make sure they're all working. Because oftentimes, especially the ones in the rear, you may not know that they're not working, and now it doesn't help you when you're out on the road. So make sure your lights are working regularly. Get your oil changed. I know a lot of times they'll take care of that for you and do that light check, but occasionally it's a good idea to turn them on, just run around your vehicle quick and make sure they're all working.
So with the weather, I've already seen today one report generated from Wisconsin State Patrol. I think Interstate 41 was closed down for a little bit this morning. Was that something your agency responded to? It looked like a State Patrol situation, jackknife, if I'm not mistaken.
To be honest, it's hard for me to keep up on all of them, but I am not aware of anything happening in Dodge County here this morning, but certainly be careful. It doesn't take much, and then all of a sudden you have what happened up in Eau Claire. You get some snow on the road, and then we got jackknife semis, and I forget how many cars it was in that crash.
39 or something.
It was a lot.
43, I forget what it was.
The most I've ever been at is a 14-car pileup on 41, and that was a lot.
And that was here in Dodge County?
That was in Dodge County. That was
when was that?
6-7 years ago, and it was a snowy day, and it was a mess. I had cars and dump trucks all over the place, and it took a while to clean up, but it started because of one vehicle. And that's usually how all it takes is one vehicle, and then you got a chain reaction.
All right. Some good things to keep in mind here. Know your headlights, I think, is at least the underlying theme of what's going on here.
And turn them on.
And turn them on.
Yes.
Turn them on. So we got a few things on the docket here that we want to talk about today. Again, though, our listeners invited to call in. This is your opportunity to speak with an elected official. We like to have this offer extended to elected officials in the Dodge County area, offering our listeners once again a chance if they've got questions or comments about things that go on. It's convenient that we have you on typically the third Wednesdays because third Tuesdays we'll see Dodge County board meetings, and you're obviously part of the county structure. Yesterday we had some more conversation about the Sheriff's Department on the county board floor as it related to department budgets. You had the closure of the old jail last year, JPOD, I believe is what they call it. We've talked in previous programs about some of the ramifications that have come from closing that jail. About $500,000 or so that was lost in revenue. I'm perhaps using the wrong terminology. There wound up being a shortfall in your budget as a result of that. That was taken care of by the county board last night. Took the money out of the general fund. Your thoughts about, I guess, this situation as it's progressing now as we're here in February?
Well, my thoughts right now is it's done. It's over. It was a bad year. We had, it was certainly a tough year. Tough decisions were made. As a result, unfortunately, we ended up with a shortfall. We did our best working in the last 5 months of the year. It was really all we had left in the year after the decision was made. We did our best to cut expenditures where we could. And unfortunately, I can't just come up with a $500,000 in that last 5 months without pre-planning. And the only way to do that would be to stop answering 911 calls, stop responding to calls for service, stop investigating homicides that we had one at the end of the year, and stop housing our inmates. Those are the things that I do. And it isn't like on any other business where you're making widgets where, okay, I'm short in these revenues this year, so I'm just going to stop making widgets. I have responsibilities and obligations that I have to meet. And when all of a sudden you come in and you just take out that amount of money mid-year with only 5 months left, you can't overcome that. We overcame a lot because we did plan. And we took our time and we sat down with our partners where the revenues came from, and we did our best to minimize it. Had we not done that, it could have been close to $1 million shortfall. And we did what we could. We had some areas in the budget that were overspent. But there are other areas of the budget that were underspent. And we knew that as we were going through the year, that we anticipated, okay, we'll be short here, we'll be over here, but at the end of the year, they'll balance out. We couldn't overcome those revenue shortfalls that we were anticipating that were going to come in. We just couldn't do that. We came in well over $100,000 under in our expenditures. But we had to keep the jail open until the very end of the year. And if you have to keep that jail open, you can't cut the expenditures. Were overtime dollars over? Yes. But they were over because we were so short in staff, and the initial salary wages of those correctional officers that we should have been employing throughout the year weren't being spent. So they offset. In fact, the overtime dollars were far less than what it would have been had we just had the employees there working their normal wage. So those are all things that you can't just take one little piece of the pie and analyze one little piece of the pie. You've got to look at the entire budget. And it's a very complex operation. There's 200 employees that we are managing, and it's tough. And so I understand. I still wish that we would have been given another 60 to 90 days to close that building, because then we could have planned for this in the 2019 budget. And had we gotten that time, I'm confident we would have ended up in the black in 2018. And going forward into 2019, we'd have the same success as we've had over the last 3 years. We returned well over $1 million over the last 3 years. I think it was $1 million in 2017. I forget 2016. I think it was a couple $100,000, and it was $60,000 in 2015. I've always returned money each of those previous 3 years, and we had a dynamic change in 2018 that we just simply weren't able to overcome. And it's our goal, as is every year, to come in under budget. We just weren't able to do it with that dynamic change last year, and we'll work to make sure that 2019 is a better year.
So you don't seem to be saying that it is just one thing that caused. Is it just the jail that caused this overage? Some of these supervisors that took issue yesterday mentioned the overtime cost, like you mentioned. What was it? Was it an amalgamation of different things that kind of led to this at the end of the day, or was it just the jail closure?
It was a jail closure. There were things that were over, there were things that were under. In any budget, I don't care if you do it in government or you do it in private business, as you do your budget, you will have certain lines that are under, certain lines that are over. It's no different than any other year. In 2017, when we had the huge return, we had lines that were over, we had lines that were under. You got to look at the whole picture. You can't just take little pieces out of it. But when you lose a large chunk of revenue, which we did in 2018, huge chunk of revenue, and try to overcome that, it's very difficult to do. So I'm not trying to cast blame. I'm just simply explaining facts, and we'll do the best we can with the budget that we've got. If you recall, in the 2019 budget, we cut back significantly because we lost a significant chunk of revenue. And the services in the sheriff's office to the public are significantly lower this year than they have been in the past. And that's 100% because we lost all that revenue. But we're going to do the best that we can. And there were comments made last night that were very unfortunate, but I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to throw back any comments the other direction. It's time to move on, move forward. Put the politics aside, and let's get this done and move forward in the service to the community and do what's best for all of Dodge County, which has always been my goal, to do what's right for Dodge County.
There does seem to be a little friction there. You're going to be able to work with elected officials across the board?
I have plenty of allies that are on the county board, and I certainly have a lot of faith and trust in the board that we can get things accomplished. There's some friction there with a few individuals, and that's unfortunate. But we'll move past it, move through it, do what we need to get done. And the majority of our business, the business that I run, is done with my staff. And if we need to work with personnel or budgetary issues, we'll do that with the board. But the majority of what we do at the sheriff's office deals with my staff, and we'll continue doing the great job that my staff has been doing. And I have full confidence we'll be able to do what we need to do, even with the significant budget cuts that we've seen.
So now I had been under the impression that the old jail, that's it, it's a done deal. I talked to Dave Froling a couple weeks ago. He's on the executive committee. He's a supervisor on the county board, finance committee chair.
Correct.
And he said, well, you know, I mean, it's closed. It could reopen. There was the indication there that it's not necessarily a done deal. Is it a done deal? Is that old jail closed? As far as you're concerned, do you think it could be reopened even if the county board did find some money? What is the message you're getting from the county board about the old jail and its status?
To be honest, I'm message from the county board on it. I've heard rumblings that they're looking at evaluating it. I would not be in favor of opening up the old building and continuing in that old building because it's separated from the other jail, and it creates concerns for so I would say really if we're going to reopen anything, it really should be something added onto the main jail for efficiency of operations. I know they're evaluating that old building and to see what they want to do with it. I just don't know that building, which is what you'd have to do, and renovating it would be efficient, cost effective. I just don't know that that would be the right path to take. But you know, they're doing their evaluation, and we'll see what they want to do.
In the meantime, we've lost some, but not all revenue from federal contract beds, essentially.
That's correct.
A majority of them.
No, not a majority of them. We budgeted in 2018. We budgeted at, I believe it was 259 per day, 259 beds per day, which was an attainable goal, and which we were doing fine up until the end of the year when we had to downsize. This year we budgeted at 160 beds per day. So we're down about 100 beds. So it's not a majority, but I would say we're just over, just under half of where we were, or just over half of where we had been in the past. But we'll still be able to bring significant revenues in, and we'll still be able to offset significant costs to the county taxpayers, which is our goal. It just won't be, we won't be able to offset as many of those costs.
Is it worth it, in your opinion, to build new onto the county jail for the purpose of contracting these federal inmates? I mean, this is something that could go away at any given time, right?
I don't see it going away anytime in the near future. I think this is something that's going to go on for years and years and years. And how many times has the federal government ever been able to solve our problems? And I don't see that happening anytime soon. We've had a really good relationship for 15 years. However, we've significantly drawn back, and now going back to the federal government and saying, hey, can we have these 100 beds back? Are they going to give them to us again? I don't know. That's why I preferred, if we were going to do it, to build prior to closing the facility, to ensure we maintained those beds rather than close it, now build and hope we can get them back. I don't know what the right path is. Maybe this is just a new norm where we're at, but that'll be something. If they want to evaluate it, we'll evaluate it. I'm comfortable staying with where we're at as long as the county board realizes that there will need to be significant increases to the sheriff's office budget to compensate for those lost revenues, so we can continue services as we have had them. Not to increase services necessarily, but just to maintain is going to require significant input in dollars from the budget in the future.
So kind of paint like a very general idea of the budget for the taxpayers out there in terms of the revenue we're getting from contract beds. Is this something that that contributes a significant portion of revenue to the sheriff's department budget, which is your budget is like what, the second largest budget in the county, essentially?
It changes, usually first, second,
Human
third.
services
Yep.
and such is up there. Not every sheriff's office or law enforcement municipality has this stream of revenue that comes from housing prisoners. So Dodge County's already kind of at an advantage, even with 160 beds.
Correct.
Well, what portion of the budget is that, generally speaking?
We're talking about an additional $3 or $4 million here that we're bringing in, probably to the positive, even with the 60 or 160 beds. Now, don't quote me on those numbers; those are just off the top of my head. But generally, $3, $4, $5 million are going to offset. Now, some of those costs are going towards the building, so there are offsetting costs, but the revenues far exceed the cost to operate, and so there's significant. There are significant revenues coming in that offset costs to the taxpayers. We look at 2018's budget, And we needed about another $3 million to maintain the services that we've had in the past. And we made significant cuts because we just couldn't do it. As a result, we've lost a member of our task force. I've lost several patrol deputies. A detective that was supposed to be funded couldn't be funded. Yes, we cut several positions from the jail, but that was because of the downsize. And I think the jail is where they need to be. But we have lost significant services. I couldn't replace squad cars that needed to be replaced. We got two of the three that I needed yet, giving us a total of 6 this year. But there was a 7th one I couldn't get replaced, and it needs to be replaced. You take a look at a very, very similar county, Fond du Lac County, related to the size of our patrol division, and they replace 11 squad cars a year. We replace about 6 or 7 squad cars per year. That's significantly less. Same size patrol division. We run our squad cars a lot longer than they do. We run our squad cars to 150,000 miles or 5 years, whichever comes second. That's a long time for a squad car. No agency runs them typically past 100,000 or 110,000. We go a lot longer with them, so we don't have to replace them as often. We've had to make significant changes, and we'll get through it. I'm confident we'll get through it, and I don't want to sound all doom and gloom, but in order to maintain services that we've had in the past, we are going to have to have another significant increase in our budget next year. It's just a matter of fact. There's really no way around it. And we've got the study. Matrix Consulting is coming in. The initial feedback I'm getting from them is exactly what we've been talking about, is that our staffing is very, very light. The squad cars is what I said is something that they've said to me. We've never seen an agency go that long on squad cars before replacing them. So we'll see what they come back with. I mean, obviously we have to wait several more months here before we get real good feedback from them. But the initial reports I'm hearing from them are exactly what we've been talking about, is that we are very short-staffed in a number of areas, and it's going to take funding to get us where we need to be.
And that's everybody's problem in the county, I assume, because now you need a little bit more money to come in to cover that shortfall in your department. If you were to maintain the same services that you had, that's going to come from human services. That's going to come from county clerk, et cetera, I assume.
Either that or the levy. I mean, and I don't
kind
know.
of already maxed. Well, no, it's not quite maxed out, I guess, from year to year. It stays steady. There's still a little room.
There are other options out there, and they have explored some that many counties actually do utilize to fund things. But
like what? What's an example?
I'm not a finance director, so I can't really speak to any of that intelligently. So I'm not going to even go down that road. But I do know that other counties finance in other ways to fund some of these operations, and they chose not to do that this year. I don't know what the future holds, but we will present a budget again coming up for this next summer and fall, and we'll have to decide what we want to do. And to make things worse, wages continue to be on the uptick, and we have to compete there as well. In order to make sure we can maintain our employees, wages have to increase, and when we do that, that also impacts our budget. Not saying we shouldn't do that. I think it's important that we do that, but it's just one more piece of that puzzle. It's very tough to have a balanced budget and to be able to provide the services we need to provide with all of these different challenges. But that's our job. That's what we're paid to work out, and we will work it out just like we do every year.
Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt, our guest here on Community Comment today, streaming live in audio and video at dailydodge.com. The phone number, if you've got a question for the sheriff, 920-885-4446. We'd be happy to take any of those questions when we return here on Community Comment after the break.
How much do you have to save for retirement? It depends, but the good news is that we can help you figure it out. This is Sandy Heyer from Heyer Insurance and the Senior Solutions Show on WBEV. Retirement will be so much more enjoyable when you know you have a plan and you know you'll have enough. Call Heyer Insurance or stop in at our office at the Heritage Village Mall and we'll start planning with you. And tune in to Senior Solutions at 11:10 Fridays here on WBEV.
Surgery. You didn't put that on your bucket list. But with advanced general surgeons and the latest minimally invasive technology, Beaver Dam Community Hospital helps you resume your pursuit of happiness with quicker recovery and reduced pain and scarring. BDCH provides a safe, high-quality surgical experience close to home, which means you can recover in comfort with the support of your friends and family. To learn more about surgery at BDCH, visit bdch.com/bucket-list.
It's time for Ask Bev. from Anderson Real Estate.
You might wonder what an appraisal is for. If financing is involved, the buyer's lender will require an appraisal to be the eyes for the bank. The lender wants to make sure the home is worth what you're willing to offer. That protects their investment. The appraiser will also note the condition of the roof. The lender wants to know that there's at least 3 years of life remaining so the buyer doesn't need additional funds right away after closing. The appraiser will note chipping or peeling paint, missing handrails on steps, if GFCIs are present, and if the home has fuses or breakers. If your home has fuses, you are grandfathered, but a new owner won't be able to get insurance as fuses don't support the many electronic devices we use today. Updating some of these items before marketing your home will save you headaches after an offer is received.
Contact Bev Anderson of Anderson Real Estate today. 920-887-2434.
The Fireside Theater in Fort Atkinson presents the most beloved musical of all time, Just What Fair Lady.
But let a woman in your life? And Patience hasn't got a chance.
Eliza Doolittle and Henry Higgins are back in the perfect Broadway musical. This fantastic new production has it all. A magnificent cast, breathtaking dancing, lavish costumes, and of course, the unforgettable songs.
She almost makes the day begin.
My Fair Lady will delight and entertain the entire family.
I'm getting married in the morning.
Your ticket to the Fireside includes a superb dinner prepared by award-winning chefs, extraordinary service, a chance to visit their spectacular gift shops, and plenty of free parking. Order your tickets now. Call 800-477-9505 or visit firesidetheater.com. My Fair Lady. You've never seen it like this. Only at the Fireside Theater.
Winter in Wisconsin. That delightful time of year when the chill in the air sticks around and not feeling your routine is your social media posts that say #winter stinks. But how often do you think ahead about the furnace that heats your home? Imagine it's 5 below zero and your furnace decides to take a permanent vacation. Doesn't the thought your spine? Don't wait until that happens. Visit Chad and his team at Air Care in Beaver Dam. Ask them about the advanced modulating furnace from Carrier. This Carrier furnace efficiently sips gas only as needed at any outdoor temperature, saving you money by using less gas. Who wouldn't love mind, comfort, and savings of a modulating furnace from Carrier? Be sure to turn to the experts, Air Care and Carrier. Check them out at aircareinc.com and like them on Facebook or give them a call at 920-356-8860.
105 from AM 1430 WBEV Beaver Dam. Time for a new battery. Pull into the quick lane service at Countryside Ford in Columbus. No appointment necessary. Countryside Ford, 330 Transit Road in Columbus. You have a phone call waiting on the line. We'll get to that in just a moment. Now with more of today's community comment is Craig Warmbold.
And our guest is Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. And that phone number, if you do have a question, is 920-885-4446. We're going to begin this segment by going to the phones and saying, good afternoon. Welcome to Community Comment.
Hi, I'm just wondering if staffing is so light and the sheriff is worried about money, why is he sending people very far out of town to take LPO training, meaning he has to then staff the deputies on overtime, the ones that are staying in town? Why is he sending a deputy to Northwoods of Wisconsin with a truck and a snowmobile for representing some snowmobiling club out there? Why is he wasting the money and overtime on silly stuff like that when he's got policing he's got to be doing?
Thank you very much for that call.
Well, sure, I appreciate that call. As far as the, we'll start with the snowmobiling. The deputy that took the snowmobile and the squad car up north was for a governor's ride. He went on his own time. He went on his days off. And did that, and he really wanted to go, and we gave him the opportunity to do that. A great opportunity. He met with the Dodge County Snowmobile Association president up there, along with a DNR warden that used to work here in Dodge County, and had a great time, completely on his own time. And he asked to do that, and we certainly approved that. Certainly, we are not to the point of doom and gloom where we don't have people to do things on the roads. Which is, and we still have to train our employees. Leadership is extremely important in our agency, and without proper leadership, we're just destined to fail. And so we've made it a priority that one of our training goals is to make sure that our deputies, that our supervisors are trained in leadership in a uniform leadership style. And we do send employees out for this training, and all agencies across the state send their employees out to various types of training. This is one that we've identified as a priority, and we've cut back in training in other areas. In the past, under previous administrations, training was pretty much allowed. If you wanted to go to something, you signed up for it and you just went. We've significantly cut back in those areas and have said no to a lot of different types of trainings that really don't apply and aren't as beneficial. So it's a bit of a trade-off. Rather than sending people to trainings that they're nice trainings, they're wants, not really needs. Leadership is a need, and we need to make sure that our employees are good leaders, set them up for their future, for potential promotions, make sure we're on the same page, make sure that we can all be efficient and effective, and that's what the goal is. And we have had nothing but positive feedback come back from the employees that have gone to this training, and we've seen a transformation in our leadership style in those employees. They understand more of the people portion of leadership rather than just giving direction. And for those who are in great organizations, understanding the people portion is so important to make sure that your employees are doing what they need to be doing, are enjoying the work that they're doing. And we really are going through a culture change at the Sheriff's Office, and this is part of it. And I know people like to throw stones at this program, a program that is endorsed by the International Association of Chiefs of Police, a program that is endorsed by our local training and standards here in the state of Wisconsin. It's something that is being pushed by our local law enforcement. And for some reason, there is a group of people out there that think that training and leadership is a bad thing. And I just do not understand that. This is, again, it goes back to the politics of the election this last summer, and it's time to let that go. We're going to move on. We're going to continue moving forward, and we are going to continue seeing this transformational change within our agency by sending people to leadership and police organizations to get that training. It's simply put, some people don't like me. Okay, that's fine. But at the end of the day, a decision has been made, and we are going to move forward because I feel that that's what's right. 60% of the voters out there felt that the direction we were moving in was right, and so we're going to continue in that direction, and we are going to make very good leaders so that we have a good succession plan going forward into the future. Because when somebody leaves, we have to have people ready to fill those roles. We can't fill those roles and then train them to come forward. It's the wrong way to go about things.
For that call, we do have another caller hanging on the line, but real quick, I did forget to mention here at the onset of this segment that motorists on Highway 151 may want to be aware that there is an accident near County Highway C. Apparently both lanes are down to about one lane. It's a little too early to get some information on this at this point, but a note to motorists that there may be some slow going there. I assume as more information comes in, the Sheriff's Office will make that available.
We'll certainly put out a press release once we're to that point. We need to investigate the crash and make sure that traffic is flowing before we can get that information out to you guys.
So let's go back to the phones and say good afternoon. Welcome to Community Comment.
Well, good afternoon. I'm just going to change your subject for a little bit. You're talking about, the snow and the safety when you're driving down the road. Can you live on major highways, county roads that come to intersections that have driveways? They're piling their snow up so high that, for instance, like if you're out here on S&G by the Lipstick Tavern and you're coming from the Columbus way and you stop by the Four Corners there, you look at Beaver Dam to the left. The person that lives there has their snow piled up pretty high at the edge of the driveway, and you can't see any traffic coming down G. You have to get way out in the lane to see what's coming, and that's a pretty dangerous intersection. So all the snow we've been getting, if some people could knock down their banks a little bit on those highways because you can't see the traffic that's coming.
That's a great point, and it is important for people to pay attention to more than just their driveway. It's all about perspective sometimes, and you might be piling up your snow and think, hey, this is a good spot to put it, but you might not be thinking about the perspective of somebody else coming down the road. So do pay attention to that, and certainly we like to address those visibility concerns as they're brought to us. I'll see if I can't make contact with that person later today and see if we can't get that one taken care of. But it's something to be cognizant of. I made the mistake when we were setting up the lights out at Swan Park last year in 2017. We were setting up the lights, and I put the Christmas trees a little bit too close to University. Somebody brought it to my attention, like, "Oh yeah, dummy, you sheriff, you should have taken care of that right away. You should have realized that." And we moved that tree right away. So snow is no different, and if it gets piled up, especially with the amount of snow we've got, it certainly can become a traffic hazard. So please, that was a great point. Thank you for that.
And that's not just that intersection either. I encounter it myself in city travel and country travel, whatever it may be. Is there a law that prevents me from putting snow in that tree border area? Am I supposed to be putting it on the lawn portion of my property?
That's a good question for each individual city, because their individual ordinances are going to govern that. And I don't know all the city of Beaver Dam ordinances, so I can't speak eloquently to that. Be a great one for when your Beaver Dam police guys come in to talk about that, because they're more familiar with the city ordinances. Yeah. But something to note is find out what those ordinances are and make sure that you're not violating that. Keep it out of the right-of-way. If you're out in the country, the right-of-way is really belongs to the state or the county or the township. And if you're putting things in the right-of-way, that certainly creates problems. So I'm going to just urge people to avoid putting snow or leaves or anything else in that right-of-way.
920-885-4446 if you've got a question or a comment for Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. We'll go back to the phones and say good afternoon. Welcome to Community Comment.
Hello.
Hi, you're on the air.
I just want to address the prior subject about training and education. I'm very much in favor of it. You have to remember, in years back, when you were an employee in any capacity, but especially the law enforcement and other professions, even today, even in your manufacturing, it's not like it was years ago. You need to have training and further courses to do a job well and to make sure it's done efficiently and professionally. And I would say, if you watch the news, you will see different law enforcement agencies that comes up. The officers maybe didn't do this or didn't do that or whatever, and that subject of training does come up, and not just only maybe in this area, but Milwaukee, Sheffield, whatever. That is a very, very important factor of the workforce today. And I think sometimes, some of us that worked before we retired, we didn't have that a strong requirement, but it's there, and it's there for the benefit and the good of everyone. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's a very good point. I reflect back on when I first became a sergeant, and I did have a one-day leadership class that was very generic, but it didn't prepare me for really what I needed to know to become a supervisor. It didn't prepare me for dealing with people at a supervisor level, because it's different. When you're a frontline person, you're supposed to be everybody's friend, getting along and joking around with the other guys. But when you're a supervisor, it changes, and the higher up the ladder you go, the more change that comes to play. And so we need to train our employees how to do that, rather than put them in that position like I was, and then I get the training later and it all makes sense. Well, let's make sure that it makes sense first, and then put them in the position so that they can be most effective from day one, and not playing catch up. I often say in a recent promotional process that I had in the last 3 years, I told my staff that, listen, we've got this promotional process coming up in about a year. We know this person is going to be retiring. I need you to prepare yourself for that. I need you to go out there and get ready. And those that went out there and got ready and put themselves in their good position by going to training, it showed in their interview. It showed in the way that they performed on a day-to-day basis. Once you stop learning, it's time to retire. And as long as you continue learning, because there's always something to learn. There is always a way for us to get better. I'm not perfect. I always try to go out and continue to learn each and every day. And that's what I want my staff to do. That's why we're pushing forward on this training so heavily, and pushing forward on leadership training, is to make them better so we as our organization can be better and professional in the long run.
Thank you very much for that call. Again, the phone number is 920-885-4446 if you've got a question or a comment for Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt. In the absence of calls, wouldn't mind switching the topic here to one that has come up from time to time in the county over the last few months and whatnot, an age-old issue perhaps, and that is that of our some strip clubs that we have here in Dodge County. A couple of them that were at the center of a federal indictment complaint that alleged that prostitution was going on. You yourself walked into one of these establishments and made an arrest for prostitution, essentially. What's the latest of what's going on with some of these establishments?
Well, on January 1st of this year, the hardware store in Kleiman posted on their door that they were closing. The owners of the hardware store also own Solomon's, so what they did was they posted that they closed and that they moved all of their operations up to the Solomon's in Juneau. To me, while Solomon's is getting more business, to me, them closing the door was a positive, because we saw a lot of negatives, received a lot of complaints, and had a lot of issues down there. And I think that was a positive for our community. And then just 2 weeks ago, I received a phone call from one of the citizens down in Lebanon, who said he pulled up on the Wild Rose, formerly the TNT down in Lebanon, and that the manager there told him that they were closing. He was cleaning off the windows, pulling down the Wild Rose signs, and taking the hours off of the hours board. And he said they were closing for a number of reasons, to include financial reasons and pressure from law enforcement. And that pressure from law enforcement obviously just recently came, and that the FBI conducted another search warrant, and this time in Lebanon. So the FBI has been at the hardware store and in Lebanon. And I think that this is a win for Dodge County, not because we're closing the businesses. I'm all about businesses, but here's the problem. If the FBI is coming in and doing search warrants and conducting raids in these locations, are they doing business on the up and up? And that's the question I pose to people. I can't give information as regarding what's going on right now, but just take that fact right there. If the FBI is coming in, the FBI just doesn't come in and do raids on your local establishments for no reason. If they're coming in and doing this, what does that say about the operations or the business going on in there? If a business is going to come in and they're going to do business legally, you're not going to have any problems, none whatsoever. I challenge you to find a business out there that is doing operations legally that has problems with the law, that speaks volumes to me. And so, with all of the allegations that are out there, the Christopher Childs case that is out there, the law enforcement activity that we've had since 2015, when we changed our philosophy. Our philosophy before 2015 wasn't really to focus on these things. But we've changed that, and I sent a detective to training. I've sent deputies to training to combat human trafficking, sex trafficking, and shortly after we end up with this case. And we pushed it up to the FBI. They help us with this, and this is what happens as a result. Good police work is prevailing, and it's taking a long time, yes, because these cases are difficult to prosecute, difficult to build. It's taking a long time, but we are seeing positive steps forward on these cases, and now we have one of these locations left in Dodge County, and they know that they're being watched.
Yeah, it is worth noting, in the interest of fairness, Solomon was not mentioned in the criminal complaint and was not the subject of the recent FBI raids. That was at the other two that have closed. You said earlier you sent the case up to the FBI. Were you referring to the Christopher Childs case or the more recent one?
Christopher Childs case. Yeah, that was started by our Detective Vicki Brugger and Detective Thickens in Hartford. They worked together, and they sent that on after they initiated that case. And they've been great partners with us, and our detectives continue to work closely with the FBI. And yes, while Solomon's wasn't named in it, has the same owners. So they are well aware of the operations that are going on. And I'm hopeful that they're making sure that they're maintaining a legal place of business rather than what we've been seeing at the other locations.
You still thinking about having strippers or adult entertainers be licensed? Is that something that's still on the table?
It was something that I brought forward on the recommendation of some citizens in our county. They asked me to bring it forward to the board. The board evaluated it, and currently they are waiting on the state legislature to see if something is going to move forward there. And we'll see what happens there. But at this point, the Judicial and Public Protection Committee has chosen to table that topic.
Okay. All right. Human trafficking, is it an issue in Dodge County?
It is, and I think that we're seeing more and more of it. You know, it's not your typical prostitute on the street corner. It starts with our cell phones, and it starts with our kids' cell phones, and that's how these, you know, we call them. You can call them pimps, or you can call them whatever you want to call them. We'll call them traffickers. That's how they recruit their young women and young men sometimes, on cell phones, on Snapchat, on social media. They befriend them. I'll get you liquor. I'll get you drugs. I'll show you a good time, and they become good friends. Now all of a sudden they're a better friend than their parents or their other friends, and they groom them. And suddenly, all of a sudden, they're put into the situations where they become threatened or intimidated. And now you are working for me, and now you're going to go out and do these things, perform sex acts, and you're going to bring a cut back to me. And if they don't, the threats become violent, and we saw that in the Christopher Childs case. So it's in our neighborhoods. It may not be out in the public eye, but it is certainly on our young teenagers' cell phones. And parents need to realize that you need to be watching cell phones. You need to look close at them. You need to know what your children are doing. You need to be looking for secondary accounts. May have a Snapchat or a Instagram, but they might have a Finstagram, meaning a fake Instagram account. And
You're hip, Sheriff.
You need to make sure. I don't know that I'm hip, but you need to make sure that you are aware of those secondary accounts. Make sure that you know what's going on. They may friend you as a parent on their regular account. They're not going to friend you on the other one, but that's where they're getting picked up. And it is so important that parents realize you can't be a friend to your children. You have to be a parent. And they may not like you invading their privacy, but it's for their best interest and making sure that they're safe and coming home at the end of the day, not beat up or sexually assaulted or any of those other crimes that are going on.
And parents, you know, I don't want to make light of the situation. Parents do have to stay hip in a sense. They do have to stay on the cutting edge of technology to know about. I learned about Finster from my teenager who had to explain to me what it was, and I felt like that's something I should have known maybe before that.
Yeah.
But you know, educate yourself, stay on top of that. If you're the human trafficking program that was in Beaver Dam a few months ago was really eye-opening, I think, for a lot of people. There's some great information in there. We did video stream that, and it is on the video tab at dailydodge.com.
And watch, there's another one coming. Five Stones and I are working closely to set up another one here, and then I believe early April is what we're targeting.
Okay.
We don't have that finalized yet, but we're planning to have another one to really get that word out to people. As I tell people, you know, there's so many things out there for us to be educated on, whether it be scams or with human trafficking or anything else that pops up. There's so many things for us to be educated. I, as a law enforcement officer, have a hard time keeping up on it. It's really hard for parents out there to also be keeping up on it. But go to these different events, and if you can't make one this month, check and make sure see if there's another one coming up, and get to one of these events so you can learn about it. It's so important.
And do a search for trafficking on the video page at dailydodge.com, where you could watch the live stream of today's video community comment, or watch back at a later time. We just have a few minutes left. I want to take a moment to recognize some of the individuals who were recognized at the Dodge County Executive Law Enforcement Association Awards Banquet this past weekend.
Yeah, we had a great crew of people who were recognized, from Trooper Randy Kind, who retired. He was recognized for his years of service, and he had a banner year last year. He actually had somebody on a pursuit. The guy put the car in reverse and smashed it in the front of his squad car. And we had some citizens come to his aid who were recognized the year before, and he took that guy into custody. He's had a great career. You know, you joke about State Patrol. Randy Kind was one of by his name, he was a very kind trooper. He is going to be missed, and they recognized him for his years of service. That was great. Our correctional officer of the year was Jen Welch. Jen Welch has worked in dispatch and now in the jail for a long time. She's been there as long at the sheriff's office as just a little bit longer than I have, and she is involved in Special Olympics and the torch run. With she just jumped in the lake up in Oshkosh this last weekend in 28-degree weather. She does the donuts on the rooftop with Dunkin' Donuts. She did that in Waupun last year. Very much involved with Special Olympics, and no donut jokes. But she does a great job. Very proud of her, and she's just a very friendly person and helps out where she can. And so she was awarded Correctional Officer of the Year. A number of other great award recipients. The 14-year-old young man who was involved with the burglaries, not involved with the burglaries, but called in the burglars last year with the crime spree on the other side of the county. We posted on Facebook who it was, and he was instrumental. He called us when he saw the car go by his house. They broke into a house down the road. We caught them in the act, and it was all because he made a phone call because he was paying attention. What a great young man, and so we're proud of him. A number of others. The Countryside GM was recognized for donating roughly around $20,000 to the sheriff's office over the last 4 years as a corporate citizen of the year. Walmart and a number of others, and without the list in front of me, it's hard to remember them all, but what a great group of individuals, and if you want to go to the Sheriff's Office Facebook page, you can certainly check out our post there that has the list of everybody who was recognized. A great group.
Here in just the final 60 seconds or so, maybe you could encapsulate your monthly column. It was on social media and the golden rule.
And keyboard warriors. Social media is a great tool. We use it as much as we can, and we try to get information out to people as quickly as we can and the best we can on social media. But we have those people out there that like to post things that are just they're not important, and they're negative, and so rather than cast stones, what I'd like to see people is turn the corner a little bit, be positive, take the high road. That's something that we like to talk about. Take the high road. Don't be that keyboard warrior that sits behind the keyboard and cast something negative. Be positive, and we can take it as a sheriff's office. People are going to pick on us, so be it. But there are other people out there that might not be able to handle that, and be cognizant of that. Be kind. Golden rule: do unto others as you would have done to you. I think that applies. And some people say, well, get thick skin. Well, yeah, people need to have thick skin, but at the same time, be the bigger person, and we don't have to always be cutting people down. And that was kind of the message in my column, and really appreciate people who do stick up for others and say, enough's enough. Let's be positive and have fun.
And drive safe out there on the snowy roads. Know your headlight situation.
Turn them on. If when in doubt, just turn the switch, turn them on, make sure people can see you and you can be safe and avoid collisions. I don't know if that had something to do with the crash on 151 yet. It's still too early to get that information into me, but drive safely out there and be careful.
Maybe traffic may be snarled on 151 south near Highway C. Actually, last we heard, both lanes were down to one lane. So if you're driving in that area right now, keep that in mind. In the meantime, Sheriff, will look forward to the opportunity to speak with yourself or a representative from the Dodge County Sheriff's Office on the March program here, third Wednesday, I believe.
Always looking forward to coming and joining you.
Excellent. Well, we do appreciate it, and thanks for sticking around for the whole hour, Sheriff. We appreciate it. That's Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt joining us on Community Comment. Again, you can go to the podcast, video and audio at dailydodge.com if you want to listen back. That is going to do it for Community Comment.
Countryside GM Auto Group. We make it easy.
Get your best price first at Countryside Auto Group in Beaver Dam. It's clearly marked on every windshield. Countryside has just knocked $12,000 off MSR. New 2018 Chevrolet Silverado half-ton crew cab Z71. You heard right. An amazing $12,000 right off the top. Hurry, only 3 to choose from at this price. And with every vehicle sold in the month of February, Countryside Auto is donating a portion of the profits to PAVE. Countryside Auto, exit 135 off 151 north of Beaver Dam, where savings come standard. Chevy, find new roads.
Countryside GM Auto